Not sure why mine video doesn't show, but I've had the problem before.
All right, we're all set. Tara, we're all set there. Okay. So we'll do a roll call here at City Hall. We have for the board both Melissa and Jeff, and then joining us from the city, we have Alana and Travis and Stephanie and Jason as a guest with Sue Surge. And then joining us online, we have myself, Richard Walker, Kelly Walker, and Lawrence Foster. Did everybody have a chance to review the minutes from the February 24th, 2025 meeting? And did we have any questions, concerns, or comments to make on those? Was everybody at that meeting? Lawrence, you were there. Kelly wasn't.
I wasn't.
I don't. Jeff and Melissa, were you there? I don't think so.
Neither was I.
Okay. Are we okay to approve with just Lawrence and myself?
I don't think
Or
so.
should we defer that to next?
We may have to defer it to the next meeting.
Okay. So we're going to defer the approval of the February 24th, 2025 minutes until we have more attendance from that meeting. Tara, if you could please note that for the next agenda. Thank you. Did we have any declaration of pecuniary interest today? Okay. We are going to go to
Beth?
number, yeah.
Sorry, it's Kelly. I did declare one for the Community Strong Race event.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Alana, we have that information on file?
Tara, do we have a?
Yep, I have it.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you. So we're going to come back to the tourism overview and financial update. We're going to start with the presentation from Jason with Sue Surge, since he's in City Hall to give us a quick rundown. Alana, I'll leave it to you to do a brief introduction for Jason.
Sure.
Thank you.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Today we have Jason Toner here from Sue Surge to present to us a TDF application for replacement of the touch pads, timing equipment at the pool. He has a presentation for us. So what we'll do is we'll turn the floor over to Jason, and then we'll open it up to the board to have any open questions. And then as a board can continue discussion once Jason leaves. So we'll do a Q&A afterwards. And then Jason, for your reference, what we'll do is the board will vote on a resolution at the end of the meeting.
Sounds good.
Okay, floor is yours.
All right, so thank you very much for the consideration and opportunity to present about this. You can go to the next slide. I'm sure some of you guys are aware, but Sue Surge is a competitive swim team for kids at ages 7 to 18. We are a not-for-profit organization, and our goal is to foster a love of swimming while developing athletic skills, teamwork, and perseverance. As an organization, we look to increase our membership, participate in more competition, and continue to upgrade our equipment and training facilities. Next slide. So currently we host 3 swim meets a year: a regional meet, a championship meet, and an invitational. These events typically span over 3 days with around 150 to 200 swimmers participating from out of town. And each swimmer typically brings 1 to 2 spectators consisting of family members, friends, or teammates. Swim clubs outside of Sault Ste. Marie are not obligated to come to these meets. So we need to ensure we deliver professional and well-run events. Next slide. With your support, we can continue to elevate the John Rhodes Community Center pool to a premier venue for competitive swimming. We are looking to upgrade the tiny touch pads used at these swim meets. The current touch pads are over 20 years old, not reliable, and we have been having ongoing issues. So they don't always work, which is a significant concern during our swim meets. They also have tons of duct tape on them, so it also is kind of somewhat embarrassing when others are here. So we are looking to get new competition grade tiny touchpads. So we can continue to be that regional competitive swim meet location. And we're trying to get rid of the next slide. So I think it's kind of, I'm going to reiterate what I said. We're looking to upgrade our legacy and outdated touchpads to professional competition grade tiny touchpads that provide accurate, reliable race finishes and meet provincially sanctioned competition standards. We really need to avoid any technical failures or on-deck repairs during our competitions. And we need to be able to integrate seamlessly with our existing scoreboard and timing system. Through our fundraising efforts, we have managed to obtain more than 50% of the cost for these touchpads already. Next slide. So we have obtained a quote from Team Aquatic Supplies for the Colorado Time System Aqua Grip touchpads. We found it very hard to find other quotes as there's not a lot of distributors or manufacturers in North America, and to ensure compatibility with our current timing system equipment, we needed to continue with the Colorado brand touchpads. The quote for the touchpads and relevant equipment was around $35,000. The new pads are modern and there have been improvements on the lifespan of the material and better sensitivity. As mentioned, we have fundraised around $20,000 and looking for the city to support the rest. We feel this equipment upgrade is essential for our club. Next slide. Happy to take any questions that you may have at this time.
So Jason, I saw it does for 8 lanes, correct? That's
Yes,
the project
for
scope.
8 lanes. We are looking to order 9 touchpads. We currently have 9 touchpads, and it's been a lifesaver because some of them, our old ones, have not been working, right? So we want to get one extra one because we want just in case of emergency, right? We need that backup. It would be very, if we didn't have one running, it would significantly impact the swim meet and the experience of others who are attending.
I'm a non-voting member, just putting this out
Okay.
there, so I just want to ask a question. Where does Sault Ste. Marie stand in relation to our closest competitors in terms of event hosting for swim meets? So Sudbury, like who would be our closest competitor to go after these types of events? And how would this give us a competitive advantage?
North Bay would probably be our biggest competitor. They race out of the YMCA. Their venue is not as nice, not as much spectators, but they feel like they probably deserve just as much swim meets as us, right? Sudbury, they've had some issues with their 50-meter pool and they're kind of struggling, but when and if they get their pools back up, they're going to push for it, right? So this would just add to why we should continue with our swim meets, because these are all optional for all of these clubs, right? So North Bay is always looking to compete with the Sioux, obviously, and then Sudbury right now they're kind of down because of their pool situation, but we don't want to give them any opportunities to where they say, hey, why are we going to the Sioux? They all have equipment breakdown. Now is our time to push for the championship or the regionals to be at our facilities.
Thank you.
Okay. Kelly, you have a question?
I do. Would this be considered part of the general maintenance of the club or the facility?
Not the facility. The city has no real need for this asset, so it would be kind of a competitive product that would be pursued, specific to events.
The community
Okay,
has
so-
to be tours from a tourist standpoint. I think it makes complete sense. We helped with those
Blocks,
blocks,
and
like
then the
last
back stroke
I
leg.
think it's the next step. No,
Right.
now we're a regional competitive area where we can't be provincial because we're not big enough, right?
Right.
So to be regional, we'll have our region covered and then we can be competitive within Northern Ontario. I think that makes sense. My
Okay.
understanding.
And it wouldn't be general maintenance because the touchpads, we can't even get record of when we bought them, like, so they're gotta be over 20 years old. So to me, maintenance is something that you, maintain every 25 years, right? So it's, we hopefully will get this, it'd be a long-term asset.
Perfect. I was just looking for some clarification on where that responsibility previously lied, but I appreciate your response.
Excellent. Any other questions for Jason regarding the Sioux Surge presentation? Excellent. Well, thank you for your time today, Jason. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Jeff or I will give you a call after the meeting, Jason.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Okay. Before we jump back, just while it's fresh, does anybody have any comments that they want to put forward with regards to this TDF application for Sioux Surge? Lawrence?
I just remember they did one a couple years ago, I think maybe 2 years ago, and they were pulling in a lot of people for those competitions. Like there was a lot of parents and competitors coming in regionally for those competitions, and I think it would be in our interest to support this.
Well, and the fact that they already do 3 and the growth potential that's there, and you know, a much nicer facility. I believe you said that some of them are duct taped right now.
That's a little embarrassing. Like, I think that we can present better than that.
Yeah, I agree with all of your comments as well.
Okay, so we will move on to the resolution for that one. Just as a reminder, they are asking, they fundraised half of it, and they are asking for $15,505.73 from the Tourism Development Fund. Okay, we will jump back. We'll do a bit of a tourism update, and then we'll pick up the rest of the TDFs after that. So Travis and Alana, over to you, please.
So from the tourism office, quick update. Jeff and I did attend the Sport Event Congress in Mississauga a few weeks back. Had great opportunity to meet with the national and provincial sport bodies. Left the Congress with some great education, obviously great networking, but I'm going to say probably 3 solid leads on potential bids that we want to go after. So overall, I would say it was incredibly productive. It's always nice when it's in Ontario because you're meeting with the Ontario provincial sport bodies. So great opportunity to get some face-to-face time with them and keep Sault Ste. Marie up on the map. Rendezvous Canada is coming up in May. Appointment schedules are open now. We currently have 90 appointments scheduled with international group tour and FIT operators. So right now the process is Caitlin's going through all of the scheduled appointments, doing our homework on the groups that are currently here, the ones that we want to try and pitch to come here, and building out a plan for each of those appointments. So lots of behind the scenes work happening to get ready for that. We are hosting a FAM tour as part of Destination Canada and Destination Northern Ontario Showcase for Ontario. So we have 8 international operators that are coming to the Sioux to tour right immediately after RBC. So we wrap up on Friday and they're here on Saturday.
Wow.
Agua Canyon Tour Train ticket should be on sale in the next few weeks. We have confirmed that the group bookings are largely done for the season. So we do know group numbers heading into the season are looking promising. We're already at where we were last season, ahead of RBC. So that's great news for us from the group side. From my seat, I'm working with IT to redevelop the Tourism Development Fund application form to have it digital online. So applicants will then be able to go on and complete a short form online digitally, which will be great. It'll reduce the amount of PDF download write it all in, scan it, send it back. So it's hopefully going to streamline some efficiencies. And with that, we'll have a TDF landing page on the city's website that'll list all of the applications that have been approved, so the community could be more aware of the money that's going out to support these events. Quickly, just for everybody's reference, National Tourism Week this year is coming up third week of April. So we'll be looking to do some press releases possibly around that with good news stories for tourism in the Soo. Last night at council, a new tourism board member was appointed. So once we finish that paperwork off, we will be able to introduce our new board member for next month. And then just add to your calendars, save the date in September. On the 17th of September, Tourism Sault Ste. Marie is going to be hosting Chamber of Commerce Take 5 to showcase our sports and meetings and conventions opportunities for hosting. So we're looking to try and invite community members to come and talk about the opportunity to host events in the Soo. So add that to your calendars because we would love to have our board members present for that. That's it from my seat. I'm going to turn it over to Travis. I know he has a couple quick updates that he wants to share.
Sure. So one of the items that I'm working on, we had a resolution from Councillor Caputo requesting that city mat funds, so our share of the mat, a portion of that funding be allocated to the downtown plaza. So I'm currently in the midst of writing a report. We're going to be looking at how we can support events within the downtown as a whole in a way to kind of activate that area with hopefully enough programming, that it kind of helps to not only revitalize kind of the activities in the downtown, but also provides, some additional reasons for individuals to stay a little bit longer or to come to Sault Ste. Marie for a specific event. So I'm hoping to wrap that up in April and get support to work with the downtown plaza manager, Josh Ingram, to advance some of the events that we'll be looking at in the downtown core.
Which of the three pots is that coming from, Travis?
That's the city's operational budget.
Okay.
And then the other item that may be of interest to, well, likely will be of interest to the hoteliers, through our Rural Northern Immigration Program, we have Immigration Canada representatives that have tentatively indicated that they will be arriving in the community in May. We will get back to everybody with specific dates, but we know we've had numerous concerns about support to the hospitality sector with respect to the hospitality sector as a whole, but specifically a lot of outreach with respect to food service supervisors. So it's a great opportunity to meet with IRCC representatives, voice your concerns and feedback. And, I think, as said, we'll get back to everybody with the specific date once it's available.
So that'll be like a town hall for us to attend, Travis?
It will be, we'll establish a meeting room
Okay.
and people can come and speak with those representatives and kind of push for increased support for the hospitality sector, which
Okay.
staff are already doing, but it's always great when we have employers speaking as well.
Absolutely. And then if you have any recommendations on information or stats that we should be bringing to that, please include that with that information. Like
Sure.
if you think that it's going to be valuable for us to talk about our current employment shortages, where, our current staffing levels are at and what percentage are perhaps, national or international.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anything that you feel like that we can come with information prepared, please let us know.
Okay, will do.
And you'll be sharing that with the other hoteliers as well, not just,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. The conversation very near to me.
Yeah, no doubt. That's it. Excuse me, that's it on my end. If there are any questions about the Dashboard report, feel free to ask away.
We haven't heard any announcements with regards to bids that we have out for like the Aboriginal hockey and winter games and all of that are still in decision phases.
I can speak to the Aboriginal hockey. We did do a site visit for them. They came and spent 2 days in the Sioux, and we recently heard that we did not win that bid. I had the chance to reconnect with them when we were away at Sport Congress, had a very good debrief. We were encouraged to rebid again. Rationale for not winning the bid this time was the transportation plan to bring the hockey bags essentially from the hub in Toronto to the Sioux. They felt needed a little bit more refining. They were concerned about bringing all the bags up and the flights in and out of the Sioux, that might be a hurdle. So they picked a location that was a hub right in the city apparently. So we have to rework our transportation plan. We were encouraged to rebid again.
Okay. Thank you for that. Okay, any other questions for Travis or Alana regarding the tourism overview or the dashboard? Okay. We did receive draft financials for 2024. Richard, will you be speaking to those?
I can briefly, sure.
Okay.
It'd be better if the auditor was there doing it, but. We
Is that
did,
something we should look at for a future review of them?
yeah. We should ask that they do actually do the presentation, but anyways, that's, we did get a clear auditor's report, that's on page 1 and 2. So that's good news. The balance sheet on page 3, cash of 800,000 and the accounts receivable of the 570,000 there is basically, if I remember correctly, NOHFC and FedNor's and the city's contribution to the trail development that was occurring during 2024, and the $300,000 in accounts payable, that all relates to basically trail development as well. So, in a nutshell, if you look at what we have, I mean, we don't have any assets to speak of other than cash. So if we realized all of our receivables and paid all of our payables, we would have basically $1,099,000 in our bank account. So that's good news, I guess, as we move forward. Page 4, statement of operations. Maybe what we can do in the future would be my suggestion is we could have a third column. So we got 2024, 2023, you always need a comparative. But if we could have the budget that we would have approved as a third item, because I think the city does that as well on their statements, so that we can kind of look at what we've done and compare it to the budget. So anyways, talking about the revenue, the municipal revenue of 835, that's all the funds we will receive from our the MATTAC collection. Again, bearing in mind is the way our revenue revenue comes forward is not only based on what is collected, but also it's driven by a provincial regulation that determines exactly how much has to come to us. So when Travis and Alana prepare the budgets for a particular year, that 835 would have been quite a bit less than that, because we always base it on the year prior on what was allocated to us. But currently there's always a uptick because we don't, based on the formula, we don't know what the percentage increase is going to be until Ontario comes out with an update on the tourism collection that happened in the previous 10 years. Back a couple of years in essence, but anyway, so that's what that is. The grants, the 875, again, that's going to be contributions from the 3 levels of government towards our trail development. The general development of $1 million, that's going to be composed of the trail development and a few other projects that we would have handled internally. Advertising and promotion, obviously, it's about the same as is most of the other expenditures. So we actually generated a surplus, as it says, of almost $100,000, principally because I think we probably stayed within our expenditure portfolio. But the revenue increased, as I said, is that 835, we would have had a budget of substantially less than that. So anyways, that's good news. And as you can see, we're generating a fair amount of money off of our bank account to the tune of 43,000. So all in all, we're ahead from the previous year by 139,000. And the only other, I'm not going to go through the statement of cash flow. I mean, it is what it is. Couple of one comment, I guess, is in which is going to be probably important in the coming years. In summary of accounting policies in A, the 3rd paragraph, it says restricted contributions are recognized as revenue in the period in which the specifically related approved expenditures are incurred. Currently, we don't have that, but I'm thinking into the future we will. So we'll end up, and where I'm thinking this on is, Travis, is if the city does go ahead and we get advances with respect to certain waterfront projects and we haven't spent all that money, then we will see a liability popping up on the balance sheet. So that's kind of important as we move forward. And the other one, and I'm not sure whether it's really relevant, although I guess the fact that it's there is point 3 that talks about economic dependence, which basically says 68% of our revenue is derived from the municipal combination tax. That is a true statement. The problem is the fact that it's a provincial mandated regulation that determines how much of the municipal tax we actually get. I'm not sure that that's really relevant, but that's just me. So, any questions?
No, thank you, Richard. Anyone else?
Alana, get on them for 2025.
I'm on them.
Thank you.
I'm on them.
Okay, if there's no other questions regarding the draft of the financials from 2024, we will move back into our Tourism Development Fund applications, having already addressed item 6A, Sioux Surge touchpad replacement. Item B is the Queen Street Cruise.
I'll just do a quick introduction. We have Stephanie Sears with us today. She is our tourism event coordinator. She's been working really closely to try and help support these groups. So I'm going to have her present the application summaries, and we can address any questions for the TDF staff. She's got some great insight of the good work that these groups are doing.
Great, thank you. And over to you, Stephanie.
Thank you. Okay, so Queen Street Cruise. This is not a new event, obviously, where most of us are probably quite familiar with it. It's happening this year, same weekend as usual, June 19th and 20th. It's a Friday night and a full Saturday during the day. Along Foster Drive at the Pavilion and in the North Civic parking lot of City Hall. So this year also marks sadly the passing of the the founder of the event, Mr. Gary Treminsky Sr. So his son, Gary Treminsky Jr. has taken over at the helm to push this event forward. So this year, well, it's the largest auto show in the city. There are a couple others, but this is marked like the largest one. Last year, they saw almost 400 vehicles participating over the 2-day period. Even with the rain on this Saturday, they had a great turnout. The event went forward as planned. So the event also has grown its sort of festival, kind of vibe that it has beyond just being an auto show. There's also food vendors, there's local dealerships with vehicles on site, there's commercial vendors, a beer garden from Northern Superior Brewing, so another partner with us. We also will have the Cub Scouts and Sioux Full Throttle RC car racing. So a lot going on to kind of lift up the event and make sure lots of things are happening. So if you're not just a car enthusiast, there's other sort of things to come down and enjoy. As well, the same weekend, they are partnering with Touch a Truck through Habitat for Humanity, which will be happening at the Sears parking lot just across the road. They also have teamed up with that organization to do shared marketing. So each group will share, their reach and their net for capturing attention. Also this year, new to the event, they have, at our recommendation, they have brought on a social media and TV personality. Her name is Christy Lee. And I brought a couple stats too, just so you kind of know if you're not familiar with her exactly. She has huge reach. We've actually brought her here in 2017 or 2018 to do some other work with snowmobiling. So she came and she did some content with us for that. But right now on Facebook, she has over 500,000 followers, over almost 300,000 followers on Instagram, almost 2,000 subscribers on YouTube, and 25,000 subscribers on TikTok. So she's well known. She has a good reach, and she has been on a few TV shows: All Girl Garage, Garage Squad, Steal This House, Celebrity IOU, Joyride. So she's a well-known TV personality as well. So hoping to use her, status and celebrity to cast a larger net and, broaden the reach for the event, and also grab extra marketing that can be used in the future to promote for future years. So they have asked for 10,000 to support the event through marketing and supporting that the fees for Christy Lee to come and participate. Yeah, is that a good overview?
It's a great overview.
Okay.
I'll just speak quickly. The work that we did with Christy Lee before, we recommended her to the Queen Street Cruise. She came in 2019 and did a lot of work with us through Destination Ontario partnership for snowmobiling. And she really embedded herself in the community and did a lot of extra, even above and beyond her contract. She's well known in the automotive world. She has been a host of the Barrett Jackson auction. She has a lot of credibility in the automotive world, and I think it'll be a great opportunity to co-market our community and the cruise together through her platform. So I'm really excited about this. I think it's a great expansion of the cruise and trying to bring them and move them forward and elevate the event. So pretty excited about the work that they've been doing.
And what does her contribution look like? Like, is it like podcast style? Is it different videos that she'd be posting? Like, what type of content can we expect to be showcased?
Well, she will be coming and being the MC of the event. So we're also working to secure like a PA system that would kind of broadcast her emceeing throughout the event. So I've reached out to 705 Sound to kind of get that process started to see what that could look like. So she would be doing awards, she'd be doing interviews, and while she's there, her team would be also capturing content. The cruise has also hired a photographer as well to capture content with her that could be used year over year as well. And but with that PA system, kind of having it broadcasted, so you know, you kind of get a little bit of her voice and her expertise and her personality throughout the event. Just you don't have to be necessarily where she is.
Will she be posting on her social platforms and creating her own content on her platforms?
Yes, and she would be, yeah, sharing our content to, you know, broaden the reach for the event as well. I believe before and following.
And did we get anywhere with the Queen Street Cruise tracking their out of town visitors?
Yes, so I spoke with the organizers. They track that through the online registration prior to the show. I confirmed with Gary as well that the attendance was being tracked when they came through. They have a booth set up after you drive in, even if you're not pre-registered, where you would collect your dash plate, and the volunteers from Sioux Area Hospital Foundation would collect their data as well. So he did have it recorded. We've also been working with them as well to try and incentivize a pre-registration. So all of that data is collected in advance electronically. So it's very accurate for following reporting.
Okay.
I was curious to know how many more vehicle registrations this event could take. If I heard you correctly, we're at about 400, is that correct?
Approximately, yeah. I'm not sure exact number, but there would be, I think, opportunity to expand it eventually. I think with having Touch a Truck kind of bridging the gap there and expanding into the Sears parking lot, that we could potentially add to that space too. So having Touch a Truck in the Sears parking lot, and if we needed overflow, we could do that. I talked to Tim Childs upstairs as well, who's doing our street closure permitting. He said we could also expand and put cars around in front of the pavilion. May not be as visible, but there would be space there as well that we could park vehicles.
Just going hand in hand with the social media and TV personality, you know, if we're capturing greater attention, I'm assuming we want to increase the vehicle registrations as well as the visitor capture as well. Is that correct?
Sorry, you're talking about increasing the amount of cars participating?
The amount of cars participating as well as the visitors.
Yeah, and I think that right now to the North Civic lot, if they had, you know, more than 400, we'd be able to fit, but I think anything beyond that, so if they're really getting over that number for vehicles, that they would be able to overflow into those other spaces.
But Kelly, just so I'm clear, you're talking about capturing visitor numbers, correct? Was that your other? Yeah.
Well, if we're looking to fund this social media TV personality to assist with growing this event, it kind of seems counterproductive if we don't already know how many vehicles we can in fact register, because with this facility, I'm assuming we're going to garner the attention of both participants as well as visitors.
I think
Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I think we're quite flexible. I mean, we could look at, we have discussed in the past, you know, in addition to shutting down Spring Street, having cars laid up through that area, you know, we do have the ability to expand further, potentially on St. Mary's River Drive. You know, most of Foster Drive, we need to keep the area open, obviously to Montana's plus the parking lots. You know, I would say growth can be rather significant. So I don't see a concern there in terms of the attraction. I think, you know, obviously we want to capture what the visitor numbers are and work with them to do so. But I think from a growth and ability to accept more vehicles, I don't see that as a barrier.
I think the thing
Yeah.
with this event is that it's always been seen as a enhancement for tourism, that like tourists that are already coming to Sault Ste. Marie, as opposed to like drawing people from other areas to come to Sault Ste. Marie that weekend to participate, like to view the car show and then to do other things. So I think that that's
Yeah.
always been our concern with this, is that it's not the primary driver, it's the enhancement.
Well, and I think, you know, when you look at comparables such as St. Agnes, you know, you are getting people that are coming there specifically for the car show. And I think that's where we're trying to get to, you know, and sport is kind of essential in that. And if I recall correctly, Christy's from the Detroit area. So she has a very significant, you know, a market in Michigan and obviously a voice within Michigan that can get the story out. So I think in terms of our target market and our growth goals, it aligns well.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be nice to know if there was a plan for her to start, you know, prior to pushing about it or posting that, hey, she's going to be here or what have you.
Yes, and I will just say too, they had asked for a deposit to get things rolling. They had asked for the deposit to come through like a thing called Zelly, which is kind of like a Venmo. And they provided a couple other options that are not applicable to Canada online banking. So now they're in the process of getting a check mailed to them for that deposit. So I feel like that is a bit of a holdup, but Gary's working with them to do that.
Christy Lee has an entire marketing team and management team behind her that prescribe all the duties of a contract. So there's this contract in place that binds her to an obligation for number of social posts, number of on-site media mentions. It's all done very structured. And then when we did it with her before, she even superseded that. She did a lot more than we even asked her to and continued to do it throughout the year. So this is a great opportunity to develop a relationship with her. Who she may, you know, we may be able to bring her back in the future, depending on how this goes. I did pull the numbers just for clarity. Participants last year that traveled, specific car owners that traveled to participate in the show last year, there were 10 from Ontario and 10 from the US and 50 from across the region. So that could be anywhere, Deborah, all the way around. So we don't really know where they came from, but they were marked as regional. So all in, estimated attendance was over 7,500 between local, regional, and across the country coming down just to participate and or spectate in the show.
Thank you for that.
I think it really offers some great exposure for us, and I love that. It's just still a little bit unclear to me what our expectations are of this personality. What are we hoping for her to achieve after she's finished?
And in large part to increase visitation, right, through her brand. So having her, as you had mentioned, kind of promote leading up to the event, you know, raising the profile of the event through Michigan and elsewhere. And then, you know, during the events, the same thing and following. So hopefully build a buzz heading into it, as well as really highlight the event while here. And then again, reinforcing the quality of the event post-event. So I think that, you know, she could be a real champion for the event and really help kind of access that US market for us or for them.
I think too, there's a credibility piece that comes with having a media influencer, similar to what we do from tourism when we bring up media influencers to come and experience something themselves and they provide a firsthand account of it. And they're viewed as a credible source. So she's somebody that's viewed reputationally quite well in the automotive world, in the Motor City world in Detroit. Having her voice here and providing credit to the Queen Street Cruise is ultimately what we're after, to be able to leverage that. And then we'll co-market through our tourism channel. So this is a contract that's with Queen Street Cruise, but we will then in turn leverage that through our tourism channels to reach our audience, and then it starts to stack. And that's the ultimate goal, is to stack these different channels to build the buzz and to be able to say, you're not going to be able to make it this year, come next year, and ultimately grow the event out from a spectator side and from a participant side.
Perfect. Thank you, guys.
Richard?
Yeah, I just want to make one comment. And when I first read it, it said they had a profit of 39,000. Then I realized, okay, that's their revenue because they had the expenses down below. But when I was reading the application, it kind of says that they have a charitable focus, but I don't think they have a charitable status. And I really think that their profit should be retained within their entity so that they can actually expand this thing on their own, rather than relying on something like this. So, or for the TDF, but that's just me. I do support their ask simply because they are doing something, or a number of things differently, but
Richard, I could speak to that because that was a point that we had brought forward previously. And it might have just been missed in the summary or in the application, but I can share that that is indeed what they've done. So we provided that recommendation to them a few years ago to not turn over 100% of the profits. They do work with the Sioux Area Hospital Charity, so that's where their profits go to, but they have been retaining better than 50% of the profits to be able to turn back over into the event each year. So we did make that recommendation and they have listened, which is where they're getting a portion of the money to help pay for the accommodation costs and all the extras above and beyond TDF ask comes from those profits that they've kept.
okay, great.
Okay, do we have any other questions or comments regarding the Queen Street Cruise TDF? Okay. So our next one on the agenda is the Community Strong Race Weekend, and Kelly, we'll be losing you for this one.
So I'll speak to that one as well.
Should I just log right out?
No, you can stay, you just can't vote
Okay,
Or comment.
gotcha.
or comment, yeah.
I'll mute myself. Thank you.
Okay, so this event, Community Strong Race Weekend, is actually happening the same weekend as Queen Street Cruise. The organizers are aware of this, and there hasn't been a conflict with space in the past, so there's no concern there. They are aware. So it's happening the Saturday and the Sunday, June 20 and 21. And the start and end is happening at Northern Superior Tap Room. It goes along, the course goes along the boardwalk, the downtown, St. Mary's River Drive. And so this was actually started as a fundraiser for Algoma Family Services Foundation. It's a 2-day race weekend, and it has a number of different races. So there is a marathon, like a full marathon, a half marathon, a 10K, a 5K, and a kids fun run. And notably, the marathon is a Boston qualifier. And one of the things we've been working with them to do and market it as one of the flattest, or not one of, but the flattest and fastest and cheapest option in Ontario to qualify for Boston. So this event also has sort of shifted a little bit in the past couple of years. It was being sort of paired with the Special Forces event, which was more of a endurance and tough, I don't like a
Or elite.
toughness or elite sort of race. But that portion has been removed. So I feel like more of the focus, it's become more streamlined with the organizers putting 100% of their efforts into developing the actual marathon and the weekend and the festival vibe of it all, rather than allocating manpower and womanpower into organizing special forces. So a lot more attention to detail and the organization side for the marathon, and marketing it and bringing people in to do it. Yeah, so I think you'll see too that the numbers did sort of fall in 2025, and we discussed and we believe that was sort of from the transition from staff to another staff. It came later in the year, so that new staff that came onto the organization had a shorter time frame in which to start planning, and I believe that planning didn't really take place until a couple months before. So the marketing kind of took a hit there, and I believe that's reflected in the numbers. However, like I said, with the attention now 100% to the festival vibe of it and the marathon itself, the trajectory looks a lot better. The organization looks a lot better. The marketing came out much earlier, and a lot more confidence from our side to see this bring in more people this year. So they're asking for, they asked for $9,000. One of the portions of that ask was going to be allocated into marketing at more out of town events. So actually going in person to the Ottawa race weekend and the Sudbury Rocks weekend with sort of like an expo booth to push the event there in those places. However, we're recommending a $5,000 recommendation for out of town marketing and event expenses. I think that's what it is. Yeah, is there anything else I'm missing? It's pretty good.
Okay, thank you, Stephanie. So if the run path is along St. Mary's River Drive and the car show is there, how does that not conflict?
That's a very great question. And we had gone over this in the past, and it will operate the same way. Also, just to note too, the marathon and the half marathon are on the Sunday when the cruise is not happening. It's the
Okay.
other races. So like the 10K, 5K color run, kids fun run. They're going to basically like hug the boardwalk. So they'll run really on the perimeter, and whereas the cruise is on Foster Drive, Brock Street, so Brock Street, Russ Ramsey Way, Foster Drive, and then St. Mary's River Drive. The Queen Street cruise does not actually touch that. There
Okay.
is, that's kind of the bridge from Queen Street cruise to Touch a Truck, but the color run goes through there and they don't conflict. The closest they kind of get to is behind the band that Queen Street cruise has on the boardwalk, but the runners run behind it. So we've made sure that they're not conflicting and they're not being blocked.
And we've done this before.
And we've done.
Thank you. Any other questions regarding the Community Strong Race Weekend? No? Okay, we will move to the last TDF on the agenda today as Crank the Shield.
I'm gonna do Crank the Shield. So many of us will be familiar with Crank. This will be the third Crank the Shield. We moved it to running every year to running it every other year because it is a 3-day stage race. So it requires quite a lengthy runway for training. And it's a difficult one to assemble with volunteers and whatnot over the 3 days. So a few years back, we made the decision with the organizer Sean to move it to every other year. So this year it falls on August 21, 22, 23. it's a backcountry endurance race. They travel more than 140 kilometers on mountain bike through the backcountry of Algoma, Stokely Creek, bringing it eventually all the way down, with the final days being here in the Sioux, showcasing our new trail system. So this is one of those events that doesn't bring in a significant number of people, but they are predominantly from out of town. So of the 100 participants that they're anticipating, approximately 80% of those come from out of town. So it's putting our trails directly in front of an audience that are avid mountain bikers, committed to their support, or to their sport, sorry, that we know we want to get them riding on our trail. So not only being an event, this is a large marketing opportunity for us to find those riders that we want to get on our trail to go back and tell their own networks about the great trails here in Sault Ste. Marie. So the money that we've requested for this one is $5,000. It's directly to try and help increase ridership for marketing and promotion of the event, help covering off some costs for event rentals and venue rentals, so that we can free up on their budget some money to put into marketing. Sean Ruppel owns Superfly Racing. He has a large reach. He's done a lot of other events down in the Muskoka areas, and he has a credibility attached to his name and his brand that we want to try and leverage, and getting our event out into his network. So this is a great event. This is one of those events that looks really good on our hosting resume. It reaches a wide audience, it's nationally known, and it brings in a significant number of people from Ontario and Michigan and Wisconsin, actually.
Thank you, Alana. Questions for Alana regarding Crank the Shield event in August?
Just a comment, Travis, that as a result of this, is you gave a presentation in Toronto. How, I'm sure it was to a packed house. How did it go? And that was on bike trails as well, I believe.
Yeah, we were selected to present at the Toronto Outdoor Adventure Show on the Best in Canada stage. It was well received. We always get a lot of questions about the trails in Sault Ste. Marie when we're there. So that was great. It's good to see the reputation growing strongly. The other thing I will say about this event is Sean also participated in the trade show for the Iceman Cometh race in Traverse City, which draws over 5,000 racers plus participants. So he also was able to get the race exposed to a lot of much larger Michigan audience. And we were there as well. And I would say, 70-80% of the people that we spoke to had either been to Sault Ste. Marie to ride and were planning on coming back, or had heard about Sault Ste. Marie and had hoped to come up here to ride. So we're certainly hoping that transitions into more US racers for Sean's event.
Excellent. Okay, if we don't have any further comments or questions regarding the TDFs on us, do we have anything to address with new business?
I do not.
Not on my end.
Okay. All right, then we can go into the resolutions. Moving right along, our first resolution is regarding the draft financials for 2024. And those read, be it resolved that the Tourism Sault Ste. Marie Board of Directors approve the 2024 draft financial statements as presented, and that a report be submitted to City Council for consideration and approval. Do I have a mover for this resolution? Kelly, and a seconder? Melissa, and I will call for a vote. All in favor?
In favor.
In favor. Okay, thank you. So that one carries. The second one is regarding the Sioux Surge Aquatic Team. Any other comments before we go into this one? Okay. So this resolution reads, be it resolved that the Tourism Sault Ste. Marie Board of Directors recommend a contribution of $15,505.73 through the Tourism Development Fund attractions and product development stream to support the Sioux Surge Aquatic Team for the purchase of new competitive timing touchpads and accessories, and that a report will be submitted to City Council for consideration and approval. Do I have a mover for this one? Lawrence and Melissa as a seconder. And I'll call for a vote. All in favor?
Approved.
Aye. And Kelly,
Looks like she's gone.
we may have lost Kelly. Let's give her just a moment to come back.
Yeah, we still have quorum.
We still have quorum. Okay, so all in favor then, Richard, you were an aye?
Yes.
Lawrence. Okay, so that one carries. Next up, we have the TDF for the Queen Street Cruise. Be it resolved that the Tourism Sault Ste. Marie Board of Directors recommend a contribution of $10,000 through the Tourism Development Fund conferences and special events stream to support the Queen Street Cruise to be hosted June 19th and 20th, 2026, and that a report be submitted to City Council for consideration and approval. Do I have a mover for this one? Jeff? And a seconder? Melissa? And I will call for a vote on the tourism, on the Queen Street Cruise. All in favor? Aye.
Yes.
Thank you. Oh. Hello, Kelly. We just voted on the Queen Street Cruise. Were you in favor?
Queen Street, yes, I'm in favor. My apologies.
Okay, so that one does also carry. You joined us just in time for to not vote on the Community Strong. The resolution for Community Strong race is, be it resolved that the Tourism Sault Ste. Marie Board of Directors recommend a contribution of $5,000 through the Tourism Development Fund conferences and special event stream to support the Community Strong weekend, the Community Strong race weekend, June 20th to 21st, 2026, and that a report be submitted to City Council for consideration and approval. Do I have a mover for this one? Lawrence? And a seconder? Jeff? And I'll call for a vote. All in favor?
Yes.
Okay, that one carries. Final resolution is regarding the TDF for Crank the Shield. This one reads, be it resolved that the Tourism Sault Ste. Marie Board of Directors recommend a contribution of $5,000 through the Tourism Development Fund conferences and special event stream to support Crank the Shield to be hosted August 21st to 23rd, 2026, and that a report be submitted to City Council for consideration and approval. Do I have a mover for this one? Lawrence and Kelly as a seconder. And I'll call for a vote. All in favor?
Yes.
Okay. And that one carries. So that covers everything on today's agenda. Thank you everyone very much for your time today and contributions to continuing to move things in Sault Ste. Marie forward. Our next meeting is on April the 21st. And with that, I will ask, do you have something else, Alana?
Speaking of April 21st, I'd like to request that we consider moving that back 1 week to the 28th. Travis and I are both out of town on the 21st.
So the proposal is April 14th.
28th, move it back.
Oh, you want to move it a week later?
Yes, please, if we
Okay.
can.
I don't have any objections to that. Anyone else?
Okay.
Kelly?
I won't be available that week.
Okay, we'll
Okay.
if we can have quorum that week, we'll proceed with the 28th. If not, we'll have to look at an alternate date. Travis and I are both away that week of the 20th, 21, 22nd.
Yeah, we can just put out
A poll.
a poll.
I could have a conflict on the 28th because I think that's going to be the Bush Plain board meeting. So
Does the
are both of
14th
you
work?
available later in the week if we were to push it to Wednesday or Thursday or Friday, or out completely?
no, I'm fine on, other than it's always at, that particular meeting is at noon as well. So, but Any other time would be fine.
Kelly, are you out the whole week?
I am, we have collective bargaining that week.
Okay, we'll pick a few options and we'll do a poll and see which one works best.
Okay. Okay, if that covers everything, then I will call for a mover to adjourn. Lawrence, Kelly, we are out. Thank you again, everyone, for your time today.